I'd like to welcome you back. We had to restart. We had to reboot. It kept freezing up. I know some of you probably went to do other things, but hopefully you'll make it back to the Player Circle podcast. I hate having to restart, but unfortunately, that's something we have to do, or we had to do in this case. Want to apologize to everybody. I want everybody to get, what they want, and hopefully we can get back on track here. Okay? Yeah, hopefully we can get back on track here. Prince lived with Andre Simone until young adulthood. And they lived in the basement, as I was saying before we got interrupted. Got with Owen Husney. Owen Husney got him a record contract with Warner Brothers. Actually, Columbia and ABC Records offered him a contract, but he wouldn't have been able to retain his music publishing rights. Now, let me stop right there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do any kind of music, when we talk about songwriting, producing, stuff like that, your music publishing is separate from your songwriting royalties as well as your mechanical royalties, which is what you get for being an artist. Your 2 cents per copy, or whatever it is. Whatsoever it is. So what they would do, so what Prince wanted to be able to own his music publishing. Which makes a considerable difference in money if you're trying to become a multimillionaire. How people become multimillionaires is 3 ways: songwriting royalties, music publishing royalties, and LiveGate. If you got those 3 things popping, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You ain't got nothing to worry about. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Good brother, supporter of the show, fellow musician. And might I say, the brother is nice on the bass. My man Justin Meba sent me a link to his band. They're very professional. I don't know if these guys, looks to me like those guys probably play live on a regular basis. Very good musicians down in H-Town. If you can get into that jazz scene or that contemporary R&B jazz scene in cities like Houston, Dallas, there's a lot of those are very good cities that you can meet a lot of sophisticated ladies at them type of events. Oh yeah, sisters with jobs. White girls with jobs, Asian and Latinas with jobs. Not that, I gotta wait tables 3 nights a week. I gotta strip 2 nights a week, and then I drive Uber every night. No, there ain't none of that. None of that. None of that foolishness. Prince's first music publishing company was Eckner Music, which was his name spelled backwards. That carried him on into the Controversy album. No, excuse me. To the Dirty Mind album. I think that's when he started putting Controversy music on there. So he incorporated and came up with another music publishing company, as well as he started his publishing company, his production company, which was the Jamie Starr Company, or the Star Company. which he kept active till his death. The Star Company is the production company he used to produce other people. And that's what he used for the Times albums. Although he got paid as an artist. Him and Morris got paid as an artist, but Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Jerome, Jesse Johnson, and Jelly Bean Johnson, and Monty Moore, they were getting paid like a live band. So they only making like $200 and some a week, which today would be around $700 a week. They were getting about $700 to $800 a week in today's money. And so Morris Day was the only one signed. And Morris was like, look, you know, if I'm going to do this, because see, you got to understand something. Morris was the best drummer out of all of them. Because a lot of people don't know this. Jimmy Jam is a drummer too. Jimmy Jam know how to play the drums. Jelly Bean, Jesse can play. Prince could play. But Morris was the best, and Andre Simone could play. Prince was better than them. I mean, Morris Day was one of the tightest drummers. You listen to anything Morris plays, and it's super tight. Even tighter than Prince. He said, look, if I do this band thing, because Morris was, where did Morris go? Morris was in DC working for like National Rent-A-Car or something. And Prince flew to DC and he was like, look, he said, you want to do this music thing or what? And he said, well, I want the music publishing all the Times music. So Morris Day owns the rights to all the Times music. A lot of people don't know that. Now, Prince's music publishing company, the two that he has out at this time, which was Eknert Music and Controversy Music, which Controversy encompassed all the albums from Dirty Mind all the way to when Prince's contract with Warner Brothers ran out in the 90s. So what Prince did then is he started another music publishing company called Emancipation Music Incorporated. So by the time Prince passed away, he had he might have had four. It might have been a fourth one. I know for a fact there were three: Eknert Music, Controversy Music, and Emancipation Music. That's pivotal. And let me tell you why. Music publishing deals will keep you in the money when you don't want to sing no more. You don't want to go out there on the road no more. Maybe you just want to play the Grammys here and there, or you just want to play around in your region. Like if you live on the West Coast, you only want, like if you in LA, based out of LA, you just want to do San Diego, LA, maybe the IE, then hit the Bay Area and come back home. Some bands, that's all they do. They can hit the coast. Maybe, just maybe, they might play Phoenix. They'll play Phoenix and Vegas. Let me take that back. They'll play San Diego. They'll play Phoenix. They'll play Vegas. They'll play other casinos around in Arizona, because there's a lot of them. Then they'll come back to California, go all the way up to the Bay Area and come back down. because the Bay Area is a huge area. And then you got Sacramento inland, you got Sacramento, San Jose, and all that. That's a lot of paper, a lot of hotels, a lot of corporate events. Anyway, when Berry Gordy signed a right of revision contract, and what that is, that's when you sign these contracts where, like, Berry Gordy owns Joe Bet Music. So EMI Music, which is a British company, they came in and said, look, Berry, we want to own your music for 10 years. And we'll pay you X amount of dollars, plus we'll give you a lump sum. So what they did is they gave Berry Gordy $132 million. Yep, they gave him $132 million. And then I think 5 years, full ownership goes back to Berry Gordy. That's a quick $130 million. You see where I'm going with this? That's a lot of money. So Berry Gordy ain't got to do nothing but sit on his ass and collect them checks like a player, like a PI. That's real business. Now, see, when you're a great businessman, you'll always have checks coming in. The late, great Dick Griffey. Dick Griffey was like that. He had his hand in all kind of stuff. TV, music, horse racing. He might have even been dabbling in race car driving. But Dick Griffey was no joke. You know, he died, you know, being worth over $100 million. He owned Solar Records, all them great records, that Dynasty and the Whispers, Shalimar, all that great music. So knowing that, you know, Prince still loved performing, but he still loved putting out music. But the problem with Prince is Prince wasn't putting out music that people really wanted to hear. It made him money, but it didn't always go gold and it didn't always go platinum. Prince flooded the market with a lot of, in the late part of the 90s especially, he flooded the market with a lot of, I ain't gonna say subpar music, but a lot of stuff I just wasn't hearing. I wasn't trying to hear. Every now and then he would put out a really good song, but for the most part, a lot of that stuff he's putting out back in the mid 90s, end of the 90s, it was like, I'm like, come on, dude. And Warner Brothers had warned him about that. They said, hey man, you gotta stop putting out this subpar music. Oh, for real? I didn't know that. See, the thing is, whoever owns Cardi B's music or Lil Wayne or some of these guys, their music ain't gonna be as valuable as like Joe Bet music that Berry Gordy owns, or Prince's catalog. It'll never be as valuable. It'll never be as valuable. You know, somebody might want to take a snippet interpolation of maybe one of their songs 20 years from now. But I find it hard to believe that somebody gonna want to redo any of the Migos music or Cardi B. I find that hard to believe. Queen Latifah, yes. MC Lyte, yes. Cardi B. But Prince took care of a lot of business up front. But Prince pissed off a lot of people. And let me just say this. Let me just get into the stuff that you may not know. Because I don't know how stable this computer is. Garbage. Sure hate I bought one of these computers. If I known that they were made by one of these other companies, I wouldn't have never bought it. I spent, this computer ain't cheap. And because of streaming and on so many online music purchase and consumer platforms, there's Lil Wayne and them can still make the money that before this type of technology was out, they would never be able to. Back in them days, unless somebody was unless you were still out there performing till you were 90 years old, you didn't get that kind of shine. But today you can, even though that's why the music's so bad. There's no incentive. There's no incentive to make it good music. There's no incentive. Somebody was telling me the other day, they say, hey, Ice, why don't you just put some trap out there and, get you some money and buy you a Bentley and just forget, trying to put out real music. And I was like, you know what? It's just something in me that makes me not want to do that. Yeah, I can go and put some trap crap out there. But when people hear it, they're going to be like, that ain't really you, dog. I mean, to a certain degree, but all day, the Iceman, nah, that ain't you, dog. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't done that. But I've thought about it. I thought about putting some stuff out there, or at least if nothing else, having some other guys, take some other guys in the studio, had them do it. Because I do need to make some money. Here said, bend them corners. Yep, bend them corners. That deuce in a quarter. No, not on no YouTube. No, man. No, I got it. My thing is I take people to the studio. I take people to the studio and then I'd go from there because I can control it in there. I can't control it on YouTube. You digs? Exactly. Brown sauces mess up my credibility. I mean, if my thing is, if I put some trap stuff out there, I mean, I let y'all hear some of the beats that I just threw together. That I was gonna make them into my song, and I was like, nah, I don't really like this beat. I'm just gonna use it as like maybe my theme song on here. That's why I never did nothing with those songs, because I felt like it wasn't going in the direction I wanted it to go in. But this MPC X, this thing got so many fat ass sounds on here that are just ridiculous. They're ridiculous. Well, Prince recorded, there used to be this studio called Hollywood Sound in Hollywood. That's where Prince did his second album there, where he mixed it down. Boy, that studio is so cold-blooded. I recorded my first CD in there. I've recorded the first 12-inch I put out I put this song. It was okay. It could have been better. The engineer I used to be engineer for Earth, Wind, and Fire, and he was showing me all kind of stuff. He said, "Did you know you can do this?" That's when the first time I used software, and I was like, "Wait a minute, here you can make these faders move without touching them." He was like, "Yeah." He turned his computer on. You know, you go to them multi-million-dollar studios like Sunset Sound, where Dre and them used to record, where they did the Chronic and all that stuff at over there at Solar Records. They used to call it Solar Studios, but it was you know, Babyface, all them recorded there. It was called something, I can't remember, because people used to go there, and Westlake Studio out there in West Hollywood, past West Hollywood, out there where Ice Cube live at, out there in that Ventura County area. What's the name of that? Yeah, Westlake Sound, Westlake Studios. That's where Bobby Brown did Don't Be Cruel. He did that album out there. Yeah, I used to know where everybody recorded. And then when Prince built, when he built Paisley Park, that's when, you know, he started recording at Paisley Park. Boy, Prince put some money into that. Well, Warner Brothers built it. They built it for him. $10 million. I mean, it's worth about 30 now. But back then, because it's huge. Got sound stages in there. You can do a full concert in there. You can shoot movies in there. Prince wouldn't even leave the state. But then he started renting that house out there. He bought a house in Beverly Hills, and he rented one too. And the one he used to have his parties over there. Yeah, Record Plant up there in Sausalito. Yeah. What's the name? Sly Stone, Santana, Tito Puente, Sheila E's family, the Escovedos. They recorded in there. Record Plant, no joke. See, back then, software helped you become a better producer, songwriter, and musician, and engineer. Today, these guys lean on that stuff because they ain't got no talent. See, when you write music like a musician, things are different. See, DJs think differently. See, Dr. Dre is different. Jazzy Jeff is different. Who else is Cold Blood? DJ Premier. In some ways, DJ Muggs with Cypress Hill in them. The real top solid producers, the Bomb Squad out of Hank Shockley and them. DJs think different. DJs think in break beats. So when they listening to a song, they got to figure out, okay, when is the lead in for this next song or this song after that? And I used to DJ too, but not with the turntables. I used to put on every record after the other, but I knew which records to play. If I play And the Beat Goes On, then I might come back with something else from the Whispers. Then I hit them with, depending on how if the party's just popping, then I'll keep playing Flashlight. I'll put Barcades on. I just keep hitting them with funk. And then when everybody start, getting tired, then I put on something like the Whispers Lady. Then I put something like that on. Then I put Dirty Mind from Prince on. Then everybody be grinding, bumping and grinding. Okay? Then I might hit them with another slow song. Then I hit them with a mid-tempo song like something like Yarborough and Peoples Don't Stop the Music, so I get them back in that party mood, but they might not be ready to get back up there and dance. Then I might hit them with You're a Shining Star, no matter who you are. That'll get them off their seat right there. Okay? Blondie, I actually liked A Heart of Glass. That's the only song I like. Well, that other song they had, I kind of liked it, but it was too disco. Blondie stayed in that disco realm too much. But hey, man, she still be doing gigs. I think she like almost 70 years old. She's 60 something. She ain't got the band because they were a band. I didn't know this, but they were a band. It wasn't just Deborah Harry or whatever her name was. You drive around Sunset Strip, you'll see some of them old fossils. When I used to go perform at the Comedy Store on Sunset, you see some of them mummies. They still be getting high, still be drinking, still be getting high. I'm like, man, I don't know how y'all do it. But Prince was smart. So he retained all his music publishing, and the only album that he gave up music publishing on was the Batman soundtrack. That's the only one Warner Brothers retained the music publishing. And like I said, music publishing is worth millions. Those contracts ain't worth spit. Prince was making like 3 or 4 cents a record. He wasn't making no money off them record contracts, but his songwriting and that music publishing checks is what made him a millionaire by the time he put Dirty Mind out. So Prince had rented and owned several houses around nice lakes. Like if you get a house on Lake Minnetonka, you got money. I used to date a chick that had a house out there. She lived right out there. Now it snowed like crazy out there, but it's you talk about a romantic, looking out the window and you right there on the beach, on a huge lake like that. Lake Minnetonka is huge. I think from one end to the other is like 2 or 3 miles. It's a huge lake. Now across it ain't that big, but lengthwise you can't see the northern side or the east side of that lake. So Prince had a house out there. It ain't number $1 million houses out there, or no less than $500,000, 600, 700,000. I don't know how this chick got that house out there. But anyway, Prince didn't start making no real money until that Controversy album. I think that album went gold. Then I think it barely went platinum. And then where he really made money was on that 1999 album. It sold 4 million copies, but it was a double album. So you go, 4 times, 4 million times 2 records. So he made some stanky money off that album. And then Purple Rain sold 13 million just in this country alone. Overseas it sold another 2 or 3 million. But it would have been bigger than that had he toured outside the country. He didn't want to tour outside the country. His concert, Prince was this is why Prince has people are like, well, how come Prince has the impact on you that he has? Yeah, Eazy-E's people, good people. The Prince's Purple Rain tour is the first concert I ever been to. So you can imagine my first concert seeing Purple Rain. I saw the movie first, then we saw them in concert. So imagine the impression he had made on me and how much I held other bands in esteem when I saw them. If they, I saw Full Force in concert. They opened for Cameo, and I swear to God that they're the worst band I've ever seen in my life. I saw some dudes that played music after they got off work that sound better than that. Man, Full Force was horrible. All they did was gyrate in front of. I thought it was a strip show. All they kept doing was taking their shirts off. That's all they did. And kept saying, Full Force, get busy one time. That's all they kept saying. I was like, man, it was the worst concert ever. Then Cameo came out there. I saw Cameo when they had that Word Up album out, dude. And they came out with the cups and the black outfits and the cups. Man. Boy, Larry Blackmon and they tore it up, bruh. They played all their hits. I Just Want to Be, Shake Your Pants. Dude, me and my girlfriend at the time, boy, we was rocking, dude. It was like I said, when I saw other bands after I saw Prince, if they had to meet a certain standard. If they didn't meet that standard, I was like, hey man, you went to see so-and-so, how good were they? Oh, they were garbage. Prince's, this is what made Prince's concert so good. His band was tight like they were on the record. That's how good they sound. The only time I'm going to say the Prince was a little off his game was the Love Sexy tour. I saw him when he had the Love Sexy tour, and he had this huge stage, and he had a basketball court to the right, and the band would play, and then he'd go over there and shoot baskets. It was weird. He wasn't even sold out. I mean, I didn't like that Love Sexy album anyway. I didn't really get it. I never bought that Love Sexy album, although I got a Prince Greatest Hits that got some of the songs from off of it, but I've never heard the whole album. Sky was cold. I love Sky, man. Yeah, I gotta buy some of their music. Yeah, Sky was cool, man. I like them. Call Me. We used to pop lock off of that. Call Me. Oh, the girls used to love that. Here's my number and a dime. Call me anytime. Boy, y'all know. Boy, y'all don't know. Boy, look at here. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all don't know about crying in the phone booth. Yeah, man. You had Total Experience with Lonnie Simmons and Gap Band and Yarborough and Peoples. Man, Lonnie Simmons, boy. Hey, man, I almost dealt with Lonnie Simmons. Lonnie Simmons was like dealing with Jerry Heller. Okay? There's so many sharks in the water back then. My cousin knows them. My cousin used to work at MCA Records. He knows them. Anyway, Prince was a very astute businessman, and he took care of a lot of his bum relatives. He had a lot of half brothers and sisters. He had a lot of half brothers and sisters. His mom had more kids after him and his sister, because his sister whatever her name is, they're the only ones that got the same mom and dad. Because some of Prince's older sisters, even in their 60s, they still look good. They still was shapely and you know, black don't crack. Some of his older sisters by his dad's kids, some of them sisters, I saw some pictures of them back in the day. They looked like they were fine as hell. They were like Lena Horne fine. Nah, you don't want to be nobody's bum relative, brother. But Prince took care of a lot of people, man. I didn't know that. I thought he was selfish the way they was making him look. And the one thing I want to start talking about right now before I get into his death, there was some funny stuff going on. And one thing that Prince, when I read the book, the autobiography done by this one guy, this journalist, very detailed at that, he said that the press was very hard on Prince because he was black. And I agree, because they said that Dirty Mind was filth. Now, if the Rolling Stones had to put that out, they would have said it was genius. And I really didn't see the racism behind how they treated Prince. Okay? I want you guys to go Google. Hey, you guys, let's get up to $100 today. Hey guys, we're about $40 short of 100. Let's go ahead and knock out that last 40. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Let's knock out that last 40. By the way, you can hit me on the Cash App, or you can go to asktheiceman.com. Cash App is free and it's super simple. All you got to do is put your credit card or your debit card in, and there's no fees. So hit me on Cash App if it's more convenient for you. But let's knock out this last 40. Okay? So Prince took care of a lot of business up front. But the problem is the press really gave Prince a hard time. Even with Purple Rain, they were very critical of his work. I mean, you got Prince. Prince is one of the most celebrated artists out here, and look what kind of respect he gets. Let me tell you something about state of Minnesota. Prince done won a damn an Academy Award, Golden Globe Awards. He won Grammys and American Music Award, other awards for the Purple Rain album. Let me show you the disrespect. Google large mural of Bob Dylan. Go to Google and Google, and maybe I'll just go ahead and do it for you. Let me see here. Let's see, large mural of Bob Dylan, DYLAN, in downtown Minneapolis. Put that in. And let me see something here. Let me get the really good picture of it. Some of these sites are real janky. They got other stuff on there rather than, the Star Tribune probably had the best presentation of it. because I want Highway 100. Come on, man. To be able to see that to really enjoy the breadth of this mural on the side of the building. Let me put this. Let me. The Current is a left-wing left-wing newspaper in Minneapolis. They cover all lifestyle and music, anything entertainment in the Twin Cities area. I happen to follow them on Twitter, but I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. My name hasn't been popping up on Swirler websites. Trust me. Swirlers ain't worried about nothing I'm talking about over here. But in the chat room, that's the link to it. Click on that link and they'll show you how what they think of a black man, like my man Brown Sausage said. They show you what they think of a black man. This man done won an Academy Award. Bob Dylan ain't won nothing. Bob Dylan ain't sold half the records Prince has sold, but yet his net worth is close to where Prince's were when he passed away. Did you see how they treat a black man? I thought Prince, now they, some say he was worth 300 something million. And then some people say, well, if you talk about, you really give a serious accounting to his estate, he's probably worth in excess of about 250 million. Because Prince had 40 million in the bank in cash when he passed away. He had a brand new jet. He had a $10 million jet. After his marriage ended, his second marriage ended, he tore down all his houses because he had a big, huge house. He still owned the land when he passed away, but he tore all those houses down. He built at least 3 houses out there in Chaska and Chanhassen, out there where Paisley Park is. So you got a lot of $1 million houses out there. That's like ultra rich out there in that area because it's a new area. Ain't a whole lot of black people out that way. Ain't a whole lot of people out that way, period. Now it's on the way out there to Wayzata where you have very affluent, that's a very upper class suburb of Minneapolis, Wayzata. If you look at apartments in the Twin Cities area, you can't get a 1-bedroom apartment with all the amenities for less than $1,000 a month. It's that expensive now. You used to be able to rent. When I first came up to Minneapolis, you could rent an apartment for $400 and some. It was cheap. They tripping. They tripping now. See, they do that gentrification even in cities that are majority white cities and states. They building all this new stuff and jacking up the price of everything. Because I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, hey, man, don't be surprised if I get another place up there, back up there in that upper Midwest, up there in Minneapolis, because what I'm getting for the money it's not worth it. You know, it's very expensive out this way. I'm not saying I didn't know, but which is one of the reasons I live in the suburbs. Plus, I try to live in the suburbs so my car insurance will be cheaper. Anyway, they were really just giving Prince a hard time. The white press was, and I had no idea. But yet they go and paint this 150-foot mural of Bob Dylan on the side of, there's the link right there in the chat room. They painted a 150-foot mural of Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wasn't even born in Minneapolis. He was born in Duluth. He was born in dusty, rusty Duluth. Duluth is disgusting. I went up there. I drove. Duluth was so dirty. All the hotels I went to, I couldn't even stay there. I couldn't even stay there. I had to get on this big, huge bridge, cross over into Wisconsin, Superior, Wisconsin, and stay over there. I stayed at a Best Western. And unfortunately, it was a whole bunch of Caucasian people staying there too. They were all in the pool, all in the jacuzzi. Not a good look. I ain't got no problem with black women. What makes you think I got a problem with black women? I just call black women out on their crap and their behavior. When it comes to dating, I look to date a black woman before I date anybody else. It's just that I end up with dating Becky sometime because sisters be on that nonsense. If you can't come at me correct, we ain't gonna talk. We ain't got nothing to talk about. Ain't that I got nothing against black women. I'm anti-nonsense. If you ain't coming correct, then we ain't got nothing to talk about. You got, if you gonna step to me, you gotta have yourself together. But when I saw them, I remember when they first started painting that mural. I was like, man, what is this? Now look up there, Bob Dylan? Bob Dylan? Ain't nobody, man. Ain't no black people trying to go see no Bob Dylan. And you know what his real name is? Zimmerman. He's actually Jewish. But yet the most racist of racist people love Bob Dylan. Yeah, that's like asking who General Soul is. I ain't never bought nothing from no Bob Dylan. Princeton rocked the house all over the world. Bob Dylan couldn't sell out to O2 Arena in the UK. Prince will sell it out for 2 or 3 weeks straight. You digs? But that's how Prince was born in Minneapolis and they act like they largely ignored him until Purple Rain. And even then they ignored him. They still ignored him. They didn't show that, you know, you would think with Prince being from Minneapolis that Prince's stamp would be, his imprint would be all over that city. It ain't. But as far as black people in North Minneapolis, black people got much love for him and Andre Cymone. But, you know, that's black people. Because the music, like trying to, if you like I said, Minneapolis ain't the only place around there you can find good musicians. You can find musicians all around that whole region, even going into going into Wisconsin. Because that's what else people gonna do. Play music. You got a lot of New York arts types that moved to the Twin Cities in the 70s. So there's a huge art, the arts period. There it's rich with that kind of culture there in Minneapolis, St. Paul. That's one thing I do like about the city. If you are into performing arts, Minneapolis, St. Paul is a real good place to do it. Even though that's not it's not New York or LA, it's still a good place to do it. When I put a band together, I'm going to Minneapolis. I'm not going down to somewhere like LA and be dealing with drug addicts and all that kind of nonsense. I ain't dealing with that. Because the money is in between LA and New York. That's where the money is. The money is in Las Vegas. The money is in Phoenix, Tucson, at them Indian casinos. That's where the money is. You could put a record out if you want to. If it only sells 10, 15,000 copies, just kind of a waste of time. Especially if you're trying to make it a major release. But doing research, I found, hey guys, let's knock out this last $40. So I get in the heart of what I really wanted to talk about. Let's knock out this last $40. I'm going to take a break. Y'all figure out what y'all want to do if y'all want me to finish. You tuned into the Players Circle podcast. Prince, the man behind the mask. I'm going to take a quick break. We need to knock out the remaining of that $40, y'all. We're gonna have to start hitting $100 on Saturday. Let's get it cracking. Be right back here. You digs? y'all. The times are a-changing. Oh, boy. We need $20 more before we can hit 100. Come on, guys. If you have not donated yet, let's go ahead and make that. Let's hit that last 20. Okay? Let's hit that last 20. So Prince took care of Minneapolis. He took care of the Twin Cities area, as well as Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and all them. They still have, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis handled a lot of the entertainment for the Super Bowl last year, from what sources told me, including family. It was like, oh man, Jimmy Jam and Terry, The Time performed, Morris Day and The Time. I don't know if it was the whole time, no. It might have been Jimmy, all the guys, because they secured the money in order to say, okay, well, this is how much we're going to play for. So they might have gave them what they wanted. So I think Jesse and all them performed. See, I was going to go to that Super Bowl, but I was like, I waited too long. I should have planned earlier in the year. Then too, I knew I was moving here. So I chose moving here over going up there. But it's been an experience. But one thing you sacrifice with weather going back toward the Midwest, you gain in a higher level of higher standard of living. Out here, if you want a higher standard of living, you got to pay for it. Whereas back east, going toward, especially in the upper Midwest, a higher standard of living is how they live. Now, they might be some racism involved in some stuff, but for the most part, if the weather's getting worse, I think, as far as like with them messing around with the atmosphere, with global warming, I think they're really just doing a job on the weather because they keep getting hit. They keep getting hit with storms. And when you get storms up there, I remember one time I was on I-94 coming from Wisconsin after chilling with this honey. And I was going down the highway, and one of the many times, this was something that happened that very rarely happens. I lost control, and I did a spin around on the highway, and my truck cut off, and I didn't panic though. I was pointed across the highway, and there was a big rig coming, a semi coming. So in order to keep from getting hit, I finally got my truck started, did a 3-point turn, and still almost didn't get out of the way, because when I did this, I backed up. I got out of the fast lane, but I was still in the slow lane. So I was trying to turn around, and I almost got stuck in the snow. And so I had to still be on the highway. So, but I ended up straightening the vehicle out, and dude got over from the slow lane, got in the fast lane, and passed me up, and wasn't nobody behind him, luckily. And I was able to continue on into St. Paul. I was already technically in St. Paul already. But when you live in snow like I have, half my adulthood has been spent in snow. So I'm used to it. Even when I came up here and it started snowing, I'm like, people up there, oh man, it's snowing outside. I'm like, dude, really? I'm like, you tripping. When you start losing control in the snow, the best thing to do is not panic. The best thing to do is not hit the brake, not boom like that, hit the brake. What I do is I tap the brake to slow down and get control. Once I get control, I just keep hitting the brake till I slow down enough where I'm not going at a high rate of speed. That's all you got to do. But sometimes you will lose control because it ain't uncommon to drive down 94 coming into Minneapolis or going out of Minneapolis or going down up and down 35 and seeing cars just abandoned. Benzes, all kinds of wreck. You see wrecks out there, but you also see brand new Honda Accords sitting out there covered in snow. People just leave their car there, come back in a day or two, come get it. Because the state trooper, they'll put a tag on it. They'll give them 48 hours, long as they ain't in the street, long as they ain't on the highway. But Minneapolis, just in my opinion, hasn't shown Prince the love that he deserves. Because even though there has been other good musicians that came out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, like Mint Condition, there, nobody as shined as bright as Prince did. And see, after doing research, I found out that Prince had been doing cocaine. And this has been confirmed. Prince started doing cocaine after he appeared on American Bandstand. Next. Yeah, them cats are from St. Paul. I don't know if they actually came out of the same high school that Mint Condition came out of, but they came out of one of them St. Paul schools though. But a German chick that Prince was messing with over the years, that he would mess with whenever he came to Germany, she confirmed that Prince had a cocaine problem. He would tell her every time he came to Europe on tour, he would tell her to get him some cocaine. But yet Prince had a no drug policy in his band. But yet Wendy and Lisa and them still went off by themselves and did their little weed and their little cocaine. And Prince knew about it, but he never made a big deal out of it because they didn't do it in front of him. But Prince said cocaine made him more bolder. Because you have to understand, he was a real laid back cat. He was a real quiet dude. And one day in Paisley Park, he actually OD'd. This has been documented. And they kept it quiet. They found him on the floor with white stuff running out of his mouth. And this was when he was married, the first time with the Puerto Rican chick. And they told her after they took him to the hospital that he OD'd on aspirin, and she believed it. But they kept it quiet that Prince had OD'd on cocaine. And I think they had to hit him with that Narcan when they took him to the ER. Cocaine ain't nothing to mess with, dude. Cocaine will, people sit up there and say what they want to say about marijuana, but you can't OD on marijuana. Marijuana doesn't shut down your central nervous system. It might depress your breathing a little bit in conjunction with other drugs, but on its own face, marijuana, you will not OD on marijuana. Now you might get high and do something stupid. Yeah, you might get high, real high, and then go out here and be on the highway driving and then have an accident. Well, that's not an ODing. See a lot of these fools, these so-called, opiate opponents, what they won't admit to you is that you can't OD on marijuana. But they demonize marijuana to promote opioids because that's where their money is coming from. Although after a while, legalizing marijuana on the federal level is inevitable. But Prince, the last few years of his life, he was looking very unhealthy. He was looking like an addict. And even Morris said something about it. Morris was like, man, what you doing? He had lost like 20 pounds. He said Prince looked like a stick. He was down to like 115 pounds. When Prince did Purple Rain, Prince was almost 140 pounds. Even though he was still skinny then. He still weighed almost 140 pounds. But Morris Day was like, hey, man, because see what Prince would do, because Prince owned the name the right. He owned the name, the time. He owned all that stuff. And so he owned the intellectual properties to the time. So Morris when Morris did gigs, he would go get his band and maybe Jerome, and then they'd go on the road and be like Morris Day and the Time. You go to the concert and it's just Morris Day and Jerome. Maybe Monty Moore would be the white guy that was in the Time. Maybe he would be playing keyboards for him, and then it'd be another black guy, and then the rest of them be Morris Band. I remember one time in Vegas, the full, the original 7 in the band, they did a concert at the Flamingo Hilton, and it was off the chain. That was the first time, me being a Time fan for 30-some years, that was the first time I saw the original band together, and not them guys that was from Purple Rain. St. Peter and Mark Morales and all them dudes. Some of them guys are dead. But Prince OD'd on cocaine. He was very secretive about that. Hey, guys, let's knock out this last $20. Come on, man. If you haven't donated yet, come on, let's knock out this last $20. We got 2 guys that stepped up the last 10 minutes. Let's knock out the last $20. If you have not donated yet, come on, man. Come out of the shadows and donate so we can go ahead and finish up on a strong note. I'm going to take another break. Y'all figure out what you're going to do, man. All right? Keep it locked right here to Players Circle Podcast. Mr. Dusty, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. You always come through in the clutch. Appreciate it, brother. Now, here comes the disturbing part of this broadcast. It's bad enough to find out that Prince Rogers Nelson had a cocaine problem. I knew it was bigger than, I knew there was something going on wrong. See, this is why I try to explain to people, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, find a purpose in life. Find a purpose, because even if you're at the top of your game, even if you're the best comedian, even if you're the best accountant, if you're the best logistics manager, if you're the best forklift driver, you could be the best at what you do and make decent money or make great money, as in Prince's case. And it's still not enough to sustain you emotionally. Prince his sister Tyka said that he said he had, after winning that Academy Award, winning all them Grammys, winning all those American Music Awards, making all the money he made, he felt like he had done everything that he set out to do and more. But apparently it still wasn't enough. This is why I try to explain to people, you have to have purpose in life. And even once you find purpose, you're going to have to work extra hard to stay on point. That and I can tell you that from being an older middle-aged man trying to do something like, like music. Although, you never outgrow releasing new music. You never outgrow. You never outgrow that, especially with black folks. We don't outgrow stuff because we're the best at everything. Not saying that to be nasty or against anybody else's race. I'm just telling you the truth. Yes, you can hit me on the Cash App. Yeah, the Cash App is set up. You can hit me on the Cash App. Yes, you can. Anyway, here's a link for that mural of Bob Dylan if you just joining us. Anyway, at first when Prince first passed away, the shock, it took months for me to even accept it. Because like I said, the reason why Prince is so meaningful to me is because I was a musician before. When I first heard Soft and Wet on the radio back in '78, I was like, this is banging. This was different. I like this guy. So this is a new song from Prince, Soft and Wet. So I was hip. I followed Prince from when he was on, American Bandstand with Dick Clark, Not Saying Nothing. I followed him all the way, the Head and all that, the Dirty Mind album. I learned how to dance off of Prince records. I didn't think of taking music or learning other different instruments until I saw Prince doing it. Although Sammy Davis was Sammy Davis Jr. was a heck of a musician. Just like Stevie Wonder plays guitar and all that stuff. Prince wasn't the first one that played all them different instruments. You watch old footage of Sammy Davis getting on the drums, playing, then getting on the keyboard, then, man, Sammy Davis didn't get his due. And then he danced, he did everything. Back in them days, you had to do everything. You did comedy, you did singing, you did dancing, you did everything. And they didn't make hardly any money till the 70s. People say that when Prince passed away, that there wasn't any, that they didn't think it was any foul play. Well, first of all, let's talk about fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, which is far more dangerous than opioids themselves. Now, they said that Prince had all these little vitamin bottles that should have had Advil in them, or antacid, or vitamins. He had fentanyl in there. And now they said he took fentanyl by accident. Well, first of all, who put it in there and how did he accidentally have access to it? That's what I want to know. And why did his personal assistant, the Ethiopian chick that worked at Paisley Park, how come that Kirk Johnson dude, how come all his inner circle folks, how come all of them lawyered up and didn't want to talk to the Carver County Sheriff? And they're still investigating. Now, see, this is how they run a criminal investigation. Even though they might not be saying anything about this, they're still investigating because they want to know. Sometimes they have to watch people for years in order to catch them doing something. If you watch the ID channel or the Oxygen Network, and you watch 2020 or Dateline, sometimes cases don't get solved for 20 years, but they sooner or later they get their man or woman, because sooner or later they're going to slip up. Just because the police ain't saying they investigate. Sometimes they purposely say they ain't investigating just so you think they ain't investigating. Because people don't just disappear. People don't just end up dead. And at first I was like, did Warner Brothers have something to do with this? Did they, because Prince sued Warner Brothers to get his masters. And Prince talked about while he was living, Prince talked about how important it was to own your own masters. That's why now Ray Charles' kids, they own his masters. Ray Charles was like, no, I want my masters. So right off the bat, my man, the late great Ray Charles, he had all his masters. So his kids and grandkids and kids after that, they could continue to live off of Ray Charles's music because he was a pioneer, just like Prince was. Let me check something real quick. Man, I rented that Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible, that last one. Man, it was so bad. I don't even remember what the plot was. Some of these movies are so bad, I don't even remember what they were about. That's why sometimes I rent movies from back in the 90s or the 80s. You digs? And so, you know, Prince had $40 million in the bank, and yet he was on drugs, man. He was on substance. But that don't negate his contribution. Because like they say, every great man and woman got something wrong with them. That's why they great at what they great at. Everybody got their flaws. Do I look down on Prince because of his substance issues? No, not at all. Not at all. Doesn't change my view of him at all. Just lets me know he was human. You know, the entertainment industry is very difficult. Yeah, you make a lot of money, but you got nothing but sharks around you, man. You got people around you that are just after you look, let me explain something to you. After you go up in a few groupies, you start seeing the light. After a while, after you done had some groupies on the road, and they don't, some of these little dimes that be on the road, and some of them be my age and still be dimes. Some of them be young, because even in a band, if I was in a band of guys that were my age, it's still gonna be somebody gonna bring their daughter there. They know you making money. And even though you standing up there, 50-year-old man, they still want to get some. Trust me, I know. Don't get it twisted, dog. A lot of cats get it twisted. They be thinking, oh, Ice, them young women don't be coming to them shows. You better look on YouTube. You better look at some of these concerts on YouTube. You see all them young women in the audience, black and white, and Asian, and Latinas. If you good, they gonna come see you, because the people that work at the hotel, they gonna be telling their girlfriend, if they a server in the hotel restaurant at a hotel restaurant, they're gonna be like, girl, you gotta see this band. They tight. They play my mama's kind of music, but they still tight. They'll see you, they'll come see you. Why you think I don't care nothing about being my age doing music? I might not get out there and try to rap because I ain't good at rapping. But as far as singing or doing anything else, oh man, I'll get in front of some young people in a minute. I've never had young people that saw me perform that said, "Oh, you do what you doing ain't that ain't something I got respect for." No, I ain't never heard that. You digs? But let me show y'all something, man, real quick. And I really don't want to show this, but you need to see this. Oh, boy. All right. Now, before I show this, let me say this here. Here's how we know that some funny business happened with Prince's death. Prince had 43,000 something milliliters or something like that of fentanyl in his system. He had enough fentanyl in his system that could kill 17,000 men Prince's size. Let me say that again. Prince had the amount of fentanyl in his system to kill 17 men Prince's size. 17,000. How do you have 43,000 whatever amount of fentanyl, milligrams of fentanyl in your body? This was in his stomach, not in his bloodstream, in his stomach. It was like almost the equivalent. They said the only way for him to get that much fentanyl in his stomach would be for them to cut his stomach open and they pour all that fentanyl in his stomach. This is the stuff that's not making sense. That this is an accident. And they also were saying that in his bloodstream, because they were saying, well, because they could tell whether it was put in there intravenously or whether he took the pills. They're saying he took enough pills that equated to enough to kill 17,000 men Prince's size. Can you believe that? And this ain't a murder? Man, if y'all don't get on out of here with that. Now, let me show you the physical part of why I know you and I don't believe what the press is telling us. Let me make sure I get this so y'all can see it. Y'all might not. Yeah, let me see make sure if y'all can't see this, let me know. Okay, let me know. Say something in the chat room. Make sure I get my fingers out the way.
Because we are getting ready to go into footage. All right, Prince peeps. I'll be back after.
Okay.
So in this top picture, notice that the shirt is up, the jacket is more closed and off the shoulder, and the rug stops at his waist. Whereas in the bottom picture, the shirt is down, the jacket more open and on the shoulder, and the rug goes up to his torso. And please look at the sun rays on the carpet. One is by his mouth and one is by his forehead. Now in this picture, look at the legs are together, his right foot at the middle of the rug, whereas in the bottom one, the legs are wider apart and the right foot at the edge of the rug, as well as the rug position at his waist, the shirt up, the bottom one, the rug position at the torso, the shirt neatly down. Whew. Now in this one, we have the sun ray at his mouth and next to his arm. And in the bottom one, the sun ray at his forehead and under his arm. And notice that his black jacket is ripped at the collars. And the shirt closed and off the shoulder, bottom one shirt opened and below the shoulder. Now here we have the long fingers and the coloring and the relaxed, whereas the bottom one we have stubby fingers, they're pale and clenched. And notice again the sun rays.
And that's the indication. And that's an indication. Let me stop it right there.
Where we can see
that's the indication of rigor mortis. Okay. Now, if you notice, you look at his lips and around his eyes, that means loss of oxygen and that he has been dead for a pretty good long while. And probably if they hadn't come when they came to get him in there, out of there and put him in the freezer, he was going to start looking worse than that. He was going to start stinking. So let me continue this.
Brand Under Armour, the coloring he's perspiring, lips look tightened. Now here the sun ray on the carpet is at the middle of the head, the jacket now off the shoulder, can't see the label, coloring is pale, lips more relaxed, and eyes slightly open. Now here is a side by side. We're about to go into two of the first videos that came out where he looks like a wax statue.
See, he already is, rigor mortis is already set in.
Is this injection wound proof of the blood work done at Dr. Schellenberg's the day before, where he had no fentanyl in his system whatsoever?
Y'all see that?
Now here we have the elevator, clean and shiny and pristine condition. The rug sitting there, the potpourri sitting there, which I thought the rug was supposed to be outside under the body. The potpourri should be a miss, a wreck. This was all taken at the same time, but here we have it. Now notice the shiny aluminum, bright and nothing messy. Now the aluminum has all these cloudy spills and markings and spills down to small puddles by the nice little potpourri bowl, and more excessive markings and spills that weren't there before. And again, notice, how the rug and the potpourri are perfectly back, in the elevator instead of outside by.
Where others see destruction, we see.
Hey, Prince Pete. So,
Sorry about that, guys.
the majority seem to understand. Is this injection wound proof of the blood work done at Dr. Schellenberg's the day before, where he had no fentanyl in his system whatsoever, or is it something else? Now here we have the elevator, clean and shiny and pristine condition. The rug sitting there, the potpourri sitting there, which I thought the rug was supposed to be outside under the body. The potpourri should be a miss, a wreck. This was all taken at the same time, but here we have it. Now notice the shiny aluminum, bright and nothing messy. Now the aluminum has all these cloudy spills and markings and spills down to small puddles by the nice little potpourri bowl, and more excessive markings and spills that weren't there before. And again, notice, how the rug and the potpourri are perfectly back, in the elevator instead of outside by, underneath the body. And this last scene is strange, empty crime scene, like nothing ever happened.
Okay.
Hey, Prince Pete. So.
Okay, that's enough. Let me check something real quick. As you guys can see, the body was in multiple positions. There were very new intravenous wounds on his wrist. What it looked like to me, that there was a scuffle, because his clothing, one picture looks, you can see his Under Armour sweatsuit was torn. His sweatsuit shirt was torn, but then was off his shoulder, And then in another picture, it was on his shoulder. He was fully clothed. Then they showed him with his legs closed. Then they showed him with his legs open. Showed him with his fingers closed and open. And there's no foul play. We supposed to believe that? He's got intravenous wounds. Now, one thing Prince did not do was shoot up. He didn't shoot anything up. We know that. So what's the real problem? What was he doing? Well, I can tell you, he probably was doing that cocaine, but I think the fentanyl, somebody got up in Paisley Park and did that to him. And that's why the investigation is still ongoing. And a lot of, like I said, his inner circle, everybody lawyered up and did not want to talk to the cops. But that's okay. They're still going to do their investigation, because they said for right now, they haven't seen any foul play, any foul behavior, any criminal behavior. But but you know, sometimes they'll say that to throw people off. Like they did with the Mueller report and all those people going to jail, getting charged with multiple felonies, that dealing with Trump. A lot of those people didn't think they'd get caught either. Only person who ain't going to jail is Trump. You can believe that. But ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to show you what they did to this brother. I wanted to shine some light and give him more shine as it relates to his life and his contribution to not just music and entertainment, but to humanity as well. No matter what kind of substance abuse problems Prince may have had, or the fact that, you know, he died a suspicious death, that doesn't negate his contribution. I'll always be a Prince fan. I might have an affinity for the Time band he created more so than him, but the Time is number one and Prince is number two for me. But there's times when but I still listen to more Prince music than I listen to the Time, because the Time's, catalog ain't that big. And a lot of the stuff that Morris Day and Jesse Johnson, a lot of them did by themselves, wasn't that good sometimes. Now, the earlier stuff was good, but not the stuff they putting out there recently. Although I still buy their stuff. But I love Morris Day too. I love him as a musician and as a performer. Even at his age, he still be out there getting it in. They'll bring him and Jerome in their 60s, and they still out there doing Jungle Love with the Mirror and all that, because they did it in Vegas when I saw them. Even though they were in their 50s then, the show was still off the chain. It wasn't number real OG Las Vegas and LA Time fans that was in the house. It wasn't number players in there. Okay? Number players. You digs? Like to thank everybody that donated today. My man Dusty, my man Hitchcock, Triple T Kill, Ty Cromwell, the brown sausage as always, bruh. Let me name off some more players. My man Justin Meba, Asad Dennis, thank you, brother. Jeremy Binion. Like to thank all of y'all for tuning in to the Player Circle podcast. You know who I am. the Iceman. Can you dig it? Tune in this week for the Iceman Show podcast. We'll be talking about social political issues that affect the Black diaspora. So tune in for that. And get right back right here. If you're not subscribed to the Mad Voodoo Man channel, do that right now. Holla at your boy.